Welcome to a Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we're looking at this time is the Fugen Kudauchi Shirogami R White number 1 Bunka 170mm knife. So this line of knives has a core steel of Shirogami R White paper number 1 reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. Heat treats about 61 Rockwell on that core steel roughly. I mean, these are hand hammered and they kind of do it by eye and by feel. But the construction is 3 layers, so on either side of that harder core steel, you've got a soft iron reactive cladding for a 3-layer sandwich. And they did put a Kudauchi or blacksmith finish on top of the cladding, but it is an all-reactive blade. So the Kudauchi will help corrosion protection a little bit. The Kudauchi on these knives, few that I've tested out, it doesn't seem to be super durable, so expect it to wear off probably relatively quickly depending on the kinds of things you cut and how much you cut. But that kind of just adds to the look of a well-used tool. The weight and dimensions on these will vary just a little bit from knife to knife, but this particular one's 115 grams or 4.1 ounces. It's about 170 millimeters right on the money on the edge, about 6.7 inches, and the overall length about 12 inches. The spine thickness at the heel is about 3.4 millimeters, and then it thins down. I measured it about halfway. It's about 2 millimeters, and then pretty much just holds that. When you hit the corner of the reverse sword tip here, it pretty much keeps that, maybe thins out a little, then thins out at the very tip with the grind. You can see the grind's not super tall, but the tip actually works quite well on this knife. Performance is actually quite good on this knife. In fact, the whole line, they're ground pretty thin at the edge. So this one's about 47.1 millimeters at the heel. And then the handle, it's nothing fancy. They bang these out pretty quick. They meet a price point, so they put a basic handle on them. The handle is oval, ambidextrous, so that's cool. It's not a D-shaped or anything. Hoe wood with the basic resin or plastic ferrule. There's a little bit of a jump here between the wood and the ferrule. It's pretty common for this type of handle. The install is not, I mean, it's hammered, probably burned on pretty quick, but there's a little bit of a gap there, a little hole for helping to carve out the hole for the handle. And so you'll probably want to put some epoxy or wax or something in there to seal it up, keep water from getting in there. Circumference of the handle is about 75 millimeter, 3 inches right here where the wood meets the ferrule, and pretty standard size. So let's take a close-up look. These are really a pretty darn good value at their price point. They hammer out. They hammer them out quick, so they're not going to have the fit and finish of a, much more expensive knife. But the ones I've seen have been pretty doggone straight, and they're good performing knives. And Mark is taking a look at every one of these. So Chef Knives to Go is looking at all these knives that come out of the box. If they have any issues that need straightening, or there's an issue with the edge profile, or they feel like they need to put a new edge on it, they are having their people do the finish sharpening service on there. So yours coming out of the box might have a little finish sharpening card in it, which means it'll have a screaming edge out of the box. But the ones I had one with that they did, and the other ones, I'd say they had about a 5 out of 10 edge on them. Nothing really special, but almost nothing sharpens as easily as Shirogami number 1. So it'll make you feel like a sharpening champ. You can see I've got a little bit of a patina going on here on both sides of this, but they've got some embossed kanji. They have relieved the corners of the spine and the choil, so they're actually comfortable right out of the box. Again, the performance is really quite good on this one. In fact, all of them I've tested, the performance has been very good. The, let's see here, balance point. Balance point, very light handle. That brings the balance point about right there, which is kind of good for this knife, so a little bit behind your pinch grip. Very light, very flickable. Let's take a look at it on the cutting board. So if you're looking for a Bunka and you want to test or just try one out and not spend a lot of money, or you're looking for something to sharpen with, Bunkas are nice because they have a pretty flat profile. They're not real long, at least this size, so they can make really good knives to learn how to sharpen with or just practice on. And Shirogami number 1 will make you feel like a champ on the sharpening stones. Here is your profile. You can see it's quite flat. This baby is not for rocking. In fact, digging the tip in right there. You can see it's got a very low tip on it compared to some Bunkas like the Kohetsu SLD, for example, rocks really well. Totally different profile. This one's very, very flat, so it'll do a nice job for chopping, push-pull cutting. Just don't expect to rock with it. I could do maybe scallions, but I'm not getting much higher. You could tweak the tip just a little bit if you wanted to with the sharpening job and up sweep the angle at the very last millimeter, a couple millimeters if you wanted to, but this knife really isn't about rocking. But there you go. So this is a high value line of knives. I think they're really good at their price point. And again, Chef Knives To Go is looking at all of them. And if they need any tweaking, they're going to go ahead and fix that. So you should get a nice one out of the box. And it maybe even be finish sharpened. So there you go. There is the Fugen Kurauchi Shirogami #1 Bunka 170mm knife.